All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Whether you are here live with me or catching me on the replay, welcome. My name is Eva Lee, and I am the owner of Awesome Careers. And today is really a short AMA session. It's very much informal, just really helping you understand who I am and connecting with you all. Just kind of exploring about my journey and kind of wanting to share that with you all. So thank you so much for connecting, whether you're catching me live or what is it live with me or catching me on the replay. So thank y'all so much. Just to give y'all an idea, there'll be some giveaways if you're live in the session with me. And so stay tuned for that. There's going to be some really cool giveaways that I'm giving out to admissions for some of my upcoming courses that I have, as well as my resume digital kits, including also some really cool career assessments that I'm giving away. So if you're here on the live stream, put in chat your name and where you're watching from. If you are catching me on the replay, feel free to do so. You won't be eligible for the giveaways, but you can definitely stay tuned for other future opportunities as well. Okay, so hello everyone. Again, welcome. This is a quick AMA session to kind of share with you all about my journey and who I am and what is Awesome Careers kind of have evolved to become. And so I want to give you all a chance to really catch you all and just share with you about who I am. Looks like King here, Amy being from Fresno. Wonderful. Thank you, Amy, for catching. And I see, hi, welcome. Really glad to see you here and have you all with me in the live session. So I'm gonna just jump right into it. There's nothing, like I said, it's not like a formal presentation. It's not podcasting like I usually do with my guests because it's just me. But I wanted to kind of get to know a little bit more about you all too as well, and give you all some tips and tricks. Feel free to ask questions. Things that you're curious about or you just want to explore. This is a great way to connect. So let me bring a little bit more about, again, my education and career journey. So by training, I come from the counseling background. So I went to college and I went and got my bachelor's in human development. And then afterwards, I was like most people kind of trying to explore what am I going to do after college and what's my calling. And so I had a really I struggled a lot to explore and understand that. I actually didn't go to my grad school right away. I actually took 2 years off and then I worked, and I got my degree in human development. I got a bachelor's in science in human development, where I like to actually understand the life stages. I tell folks it's very similar to psychology. Psychology is more of theory. My degree was more human development, so it focused particularly on the stages of life from inception to death. And when I thought about my degree back then, I didn't think I'll use it like every day. And surprisingly, in my work, I actually use my degree every day in the work that I do. I use it to connect with people. I use it to understand people's behavior, their decision making, what parts of their life that they're struggling with, areas of improvement, areas of growth. So I actually utilize my degree every day. I didn't think I would, but I actually do. So after that, after I got my, my bachelor's, then I took 2 years off. I actually worked in preschool because I thought that I was gonna eventually, like, go on to become, like, maybe like a social worker or maybe, some sort of counselor or, some sort of school administrator. I thought initially I wanted to do K through 12, but I realized after working for 2 years with preschool, and I enjoyed it really much, very much as well, that I really particularly enjoy the conversation about career. And so I would ask children, parents, what did they do for a living? What did they actually do in their career and their job? Did they find it satisfying? And so I realized that I wanted to go somewhere along close the line of like a school counselor and a career counselor. I kind of stuck a little bit more between the career counseling. And so I applied for grad school, got in. My emphasis is actually in school counseling, which encompasses all three of the traditional foundation of counseling. So I do social emotional, I do career, and I do, oh my gosh, I'm missing my third one here, um, which is academics. So I have all three, like, kind of coverage in that area. And that really allowed me to be a little bit more flexible about, what I wanted to do. So grad school actually ended up taking 3 years because we don't have summer programs in our program. So I went to grad school and, did the counseling program, was great. And actually, I loved it. It was, I thought, oh gosh, 3 years is going to take forever. And surprisingly, 3 year was so fast. um, and I'm so glad that I didn't jump into grad school right away. When people are asking about like what to do, I tell folks, like if you just finish your bachelor, I don't recommend jumping into a grad program right away because often it takes time and money, and those are two things you're not going to get back. Especially if you change your mind very quickly. So I actually recommend folks to enter the workforce for 1 or 2 years, especially when you don't have a lot of experience, to get a little bit understanding about like what is it that you truly want to do, your interest, your values, what's important to you, and how do you want to really grow yourself as a professional. So yeah, grad school was I did as a first generation, I'll talk that one, but I didn't think I was meant for grad school, to be honest. I knew I was like a good student, but I didn't think that grad school was achievable because I didn't have anyone in my life that ever went to grad school. I didn't have those type of people around me to talk about what grad school's like, the structure, the lifestyle. What do you give up? What do you take? And so that was something that I didn't imagine for myself. And I remember sitting there in my application kind of going like, I'm just going to submit and see what it takes, where it takes me. If I get in, great. If I don't, it's okay. Because I was like, oh, I still have a bachelor, it'll be fine. And so I actually got in, and I, did the whole interviewing process. And I remember getting my admissions letter and feeling so ecstatic and feeling like, wow, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change my trajectory, my outcome, my career growth just by going to grad school. And so to me, that was that rewarding experience. King says, "Yeah, so glad so glad to stumble on your page. Oh, now use your free tool to help me with my tweak my resume and cover letter. I appreciate the work that you offer to the community." Oh yeah, thank you. And I'll talk about a little bit more about that too, King. Really, or Amy, I'm really glad that you're able to utilize that. So yeah, I got into grad school, did it, and it went by so fast. Right after grad school, or towards the end of grad school, I noticed that my colleagues were starting to apply for jobs, and I was like, "What? Like, we're supposed to apply for jobs, like, but we're still in grad school." And I realized, no, you need to do it fast. And so I started applying, and it took me, I remember, probably like 2 months. I mean, I was in transition. So like in grad school, I was getting like internships and experiences, and I took advantage of that. I definitely did that even when I was in undergrad, but like more so in grad school because you're building networks and connecting with people, finding mentors. And it was, for some reason, I didn't think about applying for jobs when I was in grad school. So it did take me about 2 months to apply and, go through the interviewing process. And I was very fortunate. I had a, two career outcome potential path that I was going to take. I was going to go the more traditional route where I was comfortable already, people knew me already, and I was going to become like an academic advisor. I thought this was going to be my path, and it's going to be straightforward. Um, you know, I already have the job. It's, it's a temp position, but I knew that there was a high chance that I would probably convert to a full time. So I did that for about a month, and at the same time, another offer came through, and it was for a career counselor. Again, it's more traditional terms, but it was a career service specialist, and it works at a university as well. And it focused on working with transfer and returning students, helping them get acclimated to the university life, preparing and planning for what their career outcomes were going to be after they graduated. And to me, that was a much more exciting versus doing academics. So I did take that job, and that actually went on to lead me to developing myself as a professional and getting experience, connecting with folks after graduation. So that was to me really exciting, and I did really appreciate that. Just to give folks a heads up, again, if you are live here with me or you're catching the replay, for the folks who are live, there is a giveaway coming up. So stay tuned from that. I'll be shining some light about what I'm giving away and what's coming up. So that really was exciting for me, and that's when I really went in and kind of started thinking about my experiencing and processing my journey a little bit more, and understanding that being a first gen, being the first in your family to go to grad school, to work in higher ed or work in the industry is something new. It's something so scary. I remember like thinking like sort of the imposter syndrome. Like I was like, oh, I shouldn't be at these tables having these meetings with people. I didn't think I, had the skill set and the experience, even though I just finished grad school. That's what I recognize and realize, like, no matter how high you can achieve and or go, that the imposter syndrome is real. And even to this day, I still have it every now and then. I'm like, oh, I should be at this table. I shouldn't be in these meetings or making these decisions, right? And I think that's the scary part, is that you never know. Being a first generation, first in your family, it's scary. It's scary to be the first, to do the biggest things, to do the non-traditional things, to go out of the comfort of what your family and you only know. My parents, we I think this is something I don't get to share a lot with people, but I wasn't born here in the US. I actually was born in the Thailand refugees camps, back in post Vietnam War, post secret wars of Laos. And so when my parents fled Laos, and they met in Thailand, and they were in the refugee camps waiting to get resettled. And they had me as a baby. I was very fortunate where my mom and dad just had me, and I was only a couple months old, and then they came to the US already. So I didn't get to experience like the refugee life, but I share with, and I carry their stories, their stories of their experiences. My parents, worked very hard. They're agricultural farmers. My parents have retired, but what is it? I remember growing up and recognizing how hard my parents have to work. They had no education. My parents have probably less than. My mom has no education. My dad probably has like a third grade education at most. And they worked so hard raising me, my sisters, and my brother, and helping us, just succeed. Just the idea of the concept of getting an education. So that really was instilled with me early on about like hard work ethics, being successful, trying. I recognize that now much more, and I see it, and I'm like, wow, like when people say like, oh, like hard work, I'm like, yeah, I really do recognize what hard work is, and I'm not afraid of hard work because I see my parents work very hard day in, day out, Monday through, Sunday, and how much they give up to support me and my sisters, and you know and even to this day, like sort of this unconditional love, as parents, and as refugee parents, and recognizing the challenges. I'm amazed by my parents. I'm like, I don't know how they were able to come into a country, speak no language of it, and be able to navigate it successfully, right? They learn how to drive. They learn, how to navigate, and survive, which I think is so amazing. Their resiliency of who they are, and that's why I'm so proud of, to when I think about hard work, and my identity as a Hmong American, um, Asian American woman. How proud I am to be part of this journey. And it's such a privilege to be able to connect and see that story and see our community grow, which is why I think a lot of the work I do as a first gen was just started off just giving out free ways to give back, because I'm like, wow, I can't believe that um, my parents, who have no education, little to no education, were able to raise me and help me succeed and help me navigate somehow the educational journey. I remember my dad, dropping me off and my sisters to school every day, right? I remember, and how hard they work, for every dollar, every penny, and being on the scorching sun and just being who they are and what they know, and surviving. So to me, it was really powerful, and seeing their hard work and that they instilled it in me. So just what I'm excited to, continue the work that I do, because I see how far our community has come and how much more work is still needed. Um, so I so is it McKnight Tao mentioned, I want the Hmong community to help each other out more. What are your experiences with reaching out to others out in the community to be success? And I recognize that, and I think there are some challenges, definitely, and perhaps again, it's a mix. I think there's different audiences. So when you're saying like the Hmong community, who are you actually really talking about, right? So, and again, that goes back to like kind of like I was saying, like I still use my degree to this day. So like you have your Gen Z, right? So folks who are in high school and college right now, and then you have parents, who are, for example, typically the 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s. And you have, again, much an older population, an aging population, which is our grandparents' age, which is probably typically the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So when you're saying like reaching out to the Hmong community, who is it that you're really identifying? And I think I'll talk about some strategies in a bit, and where we still see some hurdles, right? There's still more work. Um, but I think that, like being the first gen, you're first in your family, it's probably the hardest. But it's also the most rewarding as well. I think that being a first gen is something I really identify with, and helping the people that I work with. And again, like seeing how much it's important to grow, to ask for help, to seek resources. Because the idea, I think even for me, like the idea of asking for help is something's very scary, but it's actually one of the most helpful things I could do, is really just encourage and connect and ask for help with other professionals. And when I recognized that, that was important for my own career journey, and that it really opened up more doors and opened up more networks and opened it up more resources. And when you're the first in your family, you're probably not thinking to ask for help first. You're probably not thinking about, I tell folks, you tend to look inwards than outwards, and we get blindsided by that. We need to look outwards and go, okay, if I'm the first, right? I'm wondering, how can I work smarter? Who else out there has also been the first? And I think we change the mindset a whole lot more, and be able to connect with other people. So, yeah, I do recognize that first gen is a new experience. It's very exciting, very rewarding, very scary. But I want to let all other folks, if you're the first in your family to go to college or to enter the workforce, or to do something that's non traditional, that there are a lot of people out there who care and who's going to extend a helping hand, and that you're not alone. I think that's really important. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick giveaway, because I know that, again, I want to honor and recognize the folks who are here with me. And again, if you're new here with me, welcome. My name's Eva, and I'm the owner of Awesome Careers. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But today I'm giving away right now two winners to my resume revamp class that's coming up. And it's a much in-depth class that covers what to do when it comes to your resume, and how can you work on your resume. How do you fix your resume so that it becomes a much, excuse me, a much stronger resume to help you land more interviews and essentially getting more jobs. So if you are here in the comments, if you can put in your name and the first two people who types in the word first generation, you'll be selected to receive a seat for my resume revamp class. It's virtual, but I go into much more details than what I do in my workshops. It's a much more in-depth details, and it's a smaller group, and you'll get a chance to connect with me, and we will actually work on getting your resume up to speed. So that way, we take from generic resume to again a stunning, killer resume that really helps you shine and helps you really stand out. So I see. Is it Amy Vang? First Jan right there. Okay, Amy, I have you down. And again, what I probably want you to do, writing this down really quick. Um, so I have Amy, and I don't think there's anyone a second person. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Makes I agree with everything you said. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Joey's here. Hi, welcome. Oh, thank you so much, Amy. Really appreciate. Oh, that's so sweet of you. I really appreciate that. My work is underrated. Oh, thanks for watching the YouTube. Yeah. So if you are here with me, feel free to also subscribe to my YouTube channel. I give a lot of free content on there as well. I'll be probably doing another mini series as well, kind of giving more updates since the last time I filmed it. It's about a year ago. And what is that? I have my podcast as well that I feature different guests and speakers about their professional experiences. And also, don't forget to hang out with me also on Instagram. I'm very heavy on LinkedIn as well. So if folks who catch me on LinkedIn, you're more than welcome to hang out with me, connect with me as well. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do forget to invest in them in their self, and which is essentially their resume and their cover letter, because that's the that's the document that gets you jobs, right? That increases your odds better, right? We focus so much on higher ed, but no one teaches you what you do in the next when it comes to your resume and cover letter. Yes, I agree. It's probably one of the things I didn't do when I was in college too. I went to a college, and I didn't think that um, to write my resume and cover letter. I sort of just picked up online, and I really regret not being able to utilize all those services for free stuff for resume and cover letter until afterwards. And I'm like, oh, holy moly, like, writing your resume is actually much harder. And I wish there was a class on that, but there wasn't at that time. And, that's why I have my classes today, is to help other people write their resumes to really help you stand out. Yeah. I mean, like, also first gen, don't want to win, but I support you. All right, I'll have you down, but definitely, uh, what is it? Yeah, if you don't want to use it, you can also, and if you win it, you can, if you give me a name and email of someone you would like to give it away to, I'm happy to do that as well. So just to give you a heads up, if you win it and you're like, oh, I don't need it, but I would like to give it away to someone else, then you're more than welcome to. So hi, welcome. So going down to the next part, so essentially, and I think that's really important, what we recognize is that our values are different, right? And when after grad school, I initially started thinking about what my values are. And probably like values, you're like, oh, Eva, I want to talk about values. Values so boring. But when in my career coaching, fast track to promotion, when I work with clients, and literally even in my work every day with people, when I hear people talk about their experiences and what their needs are, essentially what people are doing the whole time is they're talking about their values. Values are guiding our moral compass. Think of it as your internal compass, and that actually our values are the ones that help us make decisions about everything we want in life. So, for example, right, like right now with the pandemic, our decision to stay in our current jobs, our decision to do what we do is often steered by our values. And when I work with people, I really help them understand and get clarity about what are their values. What is it that, moves them, drives them, what gets them excited, and what helps them make a decision. So that way they have a much more confident going in making any type of decision that they make, whether that's quitting a job, taking on a new role, going to grad school, or committing, X amount of finances to do a program, or you know, changing a career entirely. So often what I think it's important for people to do, especially when you're still young, you're exploring and you're making decisions and you're not sure about what decision to make, you need to actually take the time to reflect your values. And our values change. Typically, our values stay with us every 10 years. Throughout our lives, but every 10 years is when we have a bigger shift in our values because we're different people, we're developing differently, we learn new things, and we have a different perspective. So, like, for example, one value that I think I've been bringing more and more so in my work, because, early on, I was like a first gen professional, and I'm thinking, oh, I have to be like super professional. I can't be, childish. And so I didn't really have fun as part of my values early on until much further now, where I'm like, when I'm thinking of like my top 10 or top 5 values, fun is part of my value. I'm like, if the work that I'm doing is not fun to me, I don't want to do it. And I think that's really important for people to decide and help them determine about what are your values, right? What's important to you? What moves you, right? What gets you up in the morning that says, I'm going to go out and do this because I care about this. And um, I think that, like when sort of like going back, like, why did I start doing awesome careers? I didn't have to do it. I could just, keep doing my job and collect my check and I'll be happy, right? Um, that was giving back to the community in some shape and form, or helping my Hmong community specifically. And it's grown. That definition has changed a little bit, but it's about giving back to my community. And I think that was something that I care a lot deeply, because I realize our community is still like, we're not poor in like finances, but we're poor in mind. We're poor in mind in the sense of like, we don't have a lot of people who are thinking futuristically and who are making those change. We have a good handful of communities, but our young generation has been diluted with, like social media and the challenges of today's time that makes it so hard for them to commit to like the aspirations being like it's much more challenging. And that's what I mean by poor mind. Like, we're poor in the mind of like making those bigger decisions. We have more people who are still living in like impoverished communities, right? Even though we've been here in the last 40, 50, 60 years, right? We're still behind significantly. So that's what I mean. I don't mean like financially. I mean much a different definition of that. But and that's why I wanna give back, because I can see people who invest just so much in their education or their career, but they haven't moved the needle. They haven't moved up the social ladder, or they're still they're still a generation behind. And it breaks my heart in that sense, because I want my community to be successful, because I know how hard it is. Our parents, our grandparents, and many others who sacrifice so much to get all of us here in the US, right? To have the privilege that we have. And so that's why I think like one of my values is being able to give back to my community in any way that I can. Whether that's giving the free toolkit, or providing, signing some like the Awesome Careers podcast, bring folks in, or and just doing any way possible. Folks may not know, but every month I offer a few free slots to do a resume review with me for 15 minutes. And it's another way for me to give back, again, offer free resources and tools. And over that, my time and my definition of that has changed. It hasn't just been like Hmong community. It's really been like a lot of like helping a lot of Southeast Asians, or our Asian American community, really helping them get the tools so that way they know how to be successful. And because I want our community to grow, I want our community to thrive, and I want people to be able to access this content knowledge. Like I tell folks, it's not secret knowledge. It's really And it shouldn't be. I'm a believer that, if this is part of our journey and our tools to be successful, it should be accessible. So those are a few of my values when I think about, the work that I do, as well as, who I do for, and, why I do it. So I hope that helps a little bit more and understand like what, some of my values and what I bring. So in the last couple of years, quickly now we're jumping over to passion projects. I've done a few different passion projects, and passion projects are fun. They're like, think of it as little side hobbies that you've taken up, and that you kind of had fun with it. So a few of the passion projects I've done in the past, I remember being in college and starting doing scrapbooking, like heavy hardcore scrapbooking. I used to do like card making, stamping. Oh my goodness! And I even have an old Cricut machine. um, and I need to find a way to donate that one because I'm not using it anymore. But I used to do a lot of those, and it was fun. It was really therapeutic. It's great. I really enjoy it. So I was doing that for a few years, like hardcore scrap. I used to go into the arts and craft stores and like fall head over heels about like paper and colors and fonts, and oh, it was super fun. Um, Other side projects I've done, I've also done photography, which I still have my equipment, a good chunk of that. I sold a lot away, but I still have a few around. I used to do photography for fun, which I really enjoy as well. And the reason why I mention like passion projects is because it's expected actually in the next, I think 10 or 20 years. Actually, I think it's 10, that the next generation of workers and the workforce will actually be living what we call the gig economy, and that's where a majority of people's experiences come from: entrepreneurship, owning their own business, side hobbies, things like that. So I definitely recognize that, and I too am part of that experience, because I'm like, oh yeah, I remember I started like scrapbooking, card making, leading to photography, and those have been like my really cool, like three awesome projects I've been able to do. And I might revisit them maybe at a future point, but those were fun. And then those will actually help me really pick up a lot of technical skills early on. So like doing Lightroom, Adobe Photoshop, helped me really um, develop a high attention to details, organizational skills, as well as communication, customer service, right? It's really about many versions of running a business. And so those are a few things that along the way I picked up that I really enjoyed in my side hobbies. So if you have, I'm curious if you're again watching with me here on the live streams or you're catching me on the replay, what is one passion project or side hustle or hobby that you have been doing? Let me know. I'm happy to learn more. Or if you have not participated in one, what would be one that you would like to take on, that you see yourself doing the next, 1 to 2 years, possibly? Um, I remember when I was in college, and I used to collect, if I don't know if they still do it anymore, but the cereal boxes, they used to have like barcodes, and you can redeem them for helping the school redeem them, and they would get like money for school supplies. I used to collect a bunch of them and send them all to like a local school nearby. It wasn't like a true, like a hobby, but it would be something that I would collect oddly. I would collect them, and I don't have children, but I would collect them, and I would just cut them up and then let it pile up, and then send them off to like a local school so that they can earn, school supplies. So it's sort of passion projects, I think, are really cool ways, and hobbies are really cool ways to help you develop, helping you understand a little bit more about the things you value, things you care, um, as well as, things you're excited about doing. So again, if you have a passion project or you're thinking about starting one, feel free to let me know in chat. I'd love to hear more. Okay. So What is it next way? Really quick, another giveaway. So for this one, and these are for folks who have not won, I'm giving away 2 seats for my leveraging LinkedIn class. It's going to give you a much more in depth about how to utilize LinkedIn much more effectively than just creating a profile. So that one's again much more in depth than what I do in my free workshops. We go over how do you strategize, how to use this as a tool to help you network, how do you land more jobs essentially, right? With using LinkedIn. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and in chat, the first 2 people to put in the words that says "pick me," then what is it? I'll quickly jot you down for this giveaway. So again, you can only win if you're here on the live stream. So if you're here, the first 2 people that says "pick me," you'll win leveraging LinkedIn class. And again, if this is something that you may not want to win it, but you think that maybe someone else you love and care for would benefit from it, well, you can give it away as well. So, okay. Oh, Linda, thank you for joining us today. Linda says, "Pick me." All right, Linda, I have you for the LinkedIn class. And so, again, it's much more in depth in my upcoming workshops, and I'll give you a chance to, either for yourself, or if you win it and you don't want it anymore, you want to give it to someone else, you can as well, and that's totally okay. Okay. All right. So essentially over time as I was working as a professional, I really came to understand that a lot of the work that I was doing was something that I wanted my community to know. So that's why I kind of started emerging more and more. So over there, this is way before the pandemic, I would get online and actually in person as well, and I would do workshops for my community on just sharing them about like how to build the resumes, how to use how to develop your networking elevator pitch or your cover letter, or how to prepare for your interview. And I used to go into the like physical libraries and actually host a few sessions once a year, and anyone in the community who was interested can participate as well. And then over time I realized that when I was doing that, a lot of the people who lived in different states were not able to participate. And so I started doing them virtually through Zoom, actually a few times throughout the year. And again, this is way before the pandemic. So I started to just spend my time volunteering, connecting and sharing about a few tools and tips and strategies with women out there, particularly Hmong women, as well as anyone who was just interested in really wanting to get some tips and tools. And so I started doing that as a way to move the needle, because I was like seeing, oh, like there's so much more our community can benefit from. And so I started doing it more and more so, and really found that, that gave me a lot of satisfaction when I saw that people were no longer in their toxic jobs. They're moving up, they're moving and finding a career they love. That gave me a lot of inspiration. And so that's why I developed Awesome Careers, which is really about helping people shine and learn more about different careers, but also about getting the tips and tools and strategies to be successful in your job search. Because the reality is, you're going to have multiple careers in your lifetime. And this is going back to like that. I remember like what I mentioned earlier. I use my degree every day because we're living much longer. And the idea that we're going to live to 65 is an obsolete idea. We're going to actually live longer. And even when we do retire, guess what? We go actually into our second, third, and fourth career. And so we need to be able to successfully navigate the decision making about changing career, about, writing our resume, our cover letter, interviewing, pitching ourselves, and networking. We need to be able to do that successfully, because we're not just going to do it one time. We're going to do it multiple times in our life. And so that's why I want our community, whether you are 18, 16, or you're 24, 30, or 50, right? To be able to navigate it successfully. And in any ways that I can do that, and I can help, help people understand who they are and help them make decisions, to me, that's very exciting because that means someone out there is craving, someone is excited, or they're feeling stuck and they need help. And again, going back to that first generation mentality, or being a first gen myself, I know that feeling. I recognize that, and that's why I think I'm so passionate about continuing to do this type of work for my community in any way I can. Yeah. For my next is that for hobby, you want to dive into animation. Yeah, almost everything in the arts, sound, engineering, visual, painting, drawing. Absolutely. Programming, there's lots of opportunities. I'll talk about that a little bit about some tips and strategies later on. Yes. Why LinkedIn? Amy, so can you dive in and provide a little bit more info about why LinkedIn and how it's necessary? So in today's time, right, LinkedIn is such a valuable tool that we often overskip the step. Um, and for us to maintain our careers, we have to really, I would say, it's about building a whole network. It's about mentorship. It's about finding new companies, new opportunities. There are jobs being built today that's for the next 20 years, right? Like, think about it, 50 years ago, being an app developer was not even a job. Now it is. And so LinkedIn's gonna be it's the professional tool or platform when it comes to social media to help you connect and find opportunities that you would not have otherwise known on, right? Traditionally, you wouldn't find a job unless it was posted on a website, but how would you know what website to go to, right? Or it used to be even worse on like the old newspapers posted in the job ads, classified and all that stuff. So you actually need to be able to navigate um, like networking and building your career, building yourself, and LinkedIn is a tool to do so. So I hope that shines a little light more on that. And again, in my class, leveraging LinkedIn is a much more in depth. I show you how to use LinkedIn besides creating a profile. If you're just using it to create a profile, I tell folks it does nothing for you, right? And you have to be active, engage in it for that way other people know who you are and they're able to see your skills and ability and connect with you. Those pesky online pre-assessments, yeah, that happens. Yeah. So in my work, so Awesome Career has built in where I do a specific program, a coaching program that's called the Fast Track to Promotion, and it's specifically for people who's not in college. It's designed for people who already got their degree, or they're out in the workforce already, and they're ready for a change. They want a change in their career. They're often feeling stuck. Especially if you feel stuck, you feel like there's no clarity, there's no growth for you, and you want a promotion, you want to grow, you need to change your career, and you got that calling and you need it. Excuse me. Um, the fast track is it's a typical 4 to 6 week program. We do coaching calls every week, and we connect and help you define what is it. Who are you? What's your skills and abilities, as well as what is your career interest? We strategize on your job search, your resume, your cover letter, your networking, and even prepare you for interviewing, as well as salary negotiating. So it's a much more in-depth. It's a one-on-one session with me every week. We do a weekly hour, and I have a few assignments for you to do so to help you gain more clarity as well. And it covers a whole entire, again, from start to finish, helping you prepare you into making that type of transition, whether it's trying to get a promotion, or essentially looking outside and applying for a new opportunity elsewhere. So that's where the focus of my Awesome Career Coaching program. But I also do a few one-on-one sessions, smaller, shorter ones. So that's resume, we dive deep into your resume. There's also another one about like career assessment. So if you're like, even I have a lot of interest, but I don't know where to start or what I want to do. So I do some, for example, career assessment specifically helping you identify your transferable skills, as well as your strengths and how do you articulate that, as well as interviewing prep, prepping people, especially and when they're much more further along for like the second and third round interviews, final round interviews. And so we do a lot of that as well. So that's where a lot of my line of work is, doing a lot of the one-on-ones and of course some of the class ones. where I really am able to connect with you all and share about, some things that you can do on your own and some of the things you can do with a coach that can help you. So I hope that provided some insight there about what Awesome Career is, and including the podcast that I do. We're on season 2 now. We finished season 1, so if you want to watch that, you're more than welcome to. It's on YouTube. You can catch it. I offer, in the past, free workshops on some pre-recorded workshops on resumes, cover letter, as well. So again, it's all on the playlist on the YouTube. So if you're not there already, feel free to subscribe, and you can catch a lot of that as well. So let's see. A few self-care strategies that I think might be helpful. What is it? That I think that when I was going to college, or I wanted to navigate, and I was feeling like clusterly, like stuck, or I really enjoyed those passion projects I talked about earlier, like, going back to doing something that you find therapeutic, that you enjoy, that didn't feel like homework and that didn't feel like a job, right? I think that was really something that I really enjoy. So I would go back every now and then and make a card. Or I still do photography, but not at the length that I used to do it. I would just do small little photographies here and there. So I would say, like, like when you're thinking about taking care of yourself in the job search process, it's very overwhelming to feel burnt out. It's easy to get stuck, but you got to take care of yourself. You got to treat your job search just like a job. Give yourself breaks, schedule things in, but definitely find ways where you're able to find the center of you, and you feel calm and you feel good, and it gives you good energy. It doesn't stress you, but it challenges you, right? So I think that's really important. So for me, it was really important to, like, every now and then do a few self-care. So whether I'm not a huge, like, physical person, but I would enjoy nature walks. I used to live near a river, and I would go enjoy, like, the nature walks whenever I feel very stuck, or I feel like I didn't have much of a direction. And that was something that I really enjoy about, like, just really finding yourself, finding clarity. And so nature walks, stamping, scrapbooking, card making, photography, those are a few things I really enjoy that help me really rechannel my energy. And I think that that those are a few things that really just are tools to help you recenter yourself and give you the courage, and give you the energy to do what you do, right? The confidence to get you back up there. In situations when you're feeling defeated, especially if you're like, hey, I'm applying for a lot of jobs and I haven't really been, what is it, getting, like, applications in or anything like that, right? I think sometimes it can feel defeating. You can feel like you're stuck. And so I think that's important to, find some really good self-care strategies. And one of the things we are doing is, in order to help some folks who are feeling stuck in situations, I recommend, like, joining a few groups. And I do have a group on Facebook here. It's a internship and job one for folks who, want to reconnect, especially in situations you're like, hey, I did this interview. Is that normal? Or, if you're like, I've been sending applications out and I'm getting ghosted by recruiters, right? Those are ways where to connect with other people. I think it's important to communicate that and share, especially when what is it? You're not receiving much, you're not getting anything back from recruiters, or you're not hearing much, and it's really great to connect that way. Hey, Jovi, baking is your self-care. Oh, yay. Therapeutic for you. Speaking of passion, over the years, you slowly turn into a side hustle. Yes, I know. You're so amazing. I love all the stuff you post about food. I get so hungry. I'm like, they're like so good. Yes, and I love that. I think, watching it is great, but I'm like, wouldn't it be awesome to taste it? Yes, absolutely. I think it's finding, like, your calmness, finding your energy, especially when you're feeling down and you're stuck and you're like, gosh, I'm just not getting anywhere. It could really be a place, that can give you your energy in situations where you're not. Yeah. So I know that that pretty much wraps up my AMA. If you have any questions, regarding our career related, feel free to ask in chat. I'll stick around for the next 1 or 2 minutes. This wasn't supposed to be a long one, but I want to make sure that folks get an idea about, a little bit more about the work I'm doing and how to connect with me, and if you're catching me here on the live session, really appreciate your energy and time here. And if you're catching the replay as well, thank you all so much. Really appreciate that. Okay. Well, I have Amy McKnight and Linda. I have three of you winning, and so I will connect. I just what is it about? What is it? You'll see a notification from me to join those workshops because you'll have access to it. So if you have any questions, let me know. Okay. Well, thank y'all so much for joining me on my AMA session. I really appreciate that. There's a lot of good information here. I hope that provided a lot and learn a little bit more about the work I do and what is it, how you can get started, or how you can share this with your friends and family who you think might benefit from this. And again, my goal is just to really empower and support others and really be able to just share some really cool tools and tips. So thank y'all so much. I really appreciate that. I hope everyone has a nice Sunday, and I'll catch you guys next time on the next workshop or next podcast we have this coming week, and I'll share it with you really quick. So we have really quick again the resume revamp that's coming up. That's Thursday, September 30th. And we also have the link leveraging LinkedIn. These are all classes. And then, of course, for folks who have never done salary negotiating and you want to, you're more than welcome to. You can sign up for, this is much later, a little bit more in November, but my salary negotiation class as well. And then lastly, we'll have on this Thursday from 6 p.m. Pacific time starting, we'll have our featured guest for the podcast, which is my Hua, and who's a birth doula. So all the mommies out there who's interested in learning about her career and how she came up with this, feel free to join. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are and if you have any questions for her as well. So thank y'all so much for joining me today. Again, really appreciate everyone's energy. And I hope to catch you guys again this Thursday. So thank y'all so much, everyone. Have a good one and enjoy.